lovely, welcome back to Maths. Now in Tuesday's lesson we looked at how to find a fraction of an amount with a unit fraction, and today we're going to look at finding a fraction of an amount with a non-unit fraction. So if you remember from last week, when we have a unit fraction, it means that our numerator is 1. And when we have a non-unit fraction, it means that our numerator is greater than 1. And those are the kind of fractions we're going to be working with today. Now, in Tuesday's video, we saw this method here for finding fractions of amounts. We ask you to divide the amount by the denominator in the fraction and then multiply that answer by the numerator in the fraction. And we had this little rhyme here to help you remember with the pictures. We say we divide the amount by the bottom and we times it by the top. And if you picture t-shirts and shorts, it should help you to remember the method. So we're going to go through a couple of examples of how to do the maths first of all. This is very similar to what you were doing yesterday in Wednesday's work from the website and in the video on Education City. And then we're going to move on to look at Thursday's website work and apply this method to some problem solving. So this question here asks you to find 3/4 of the number 24. And to do that, what we need to do first of all is divide 24 by the denominator. So we can write it out like this, and then using our knowledge of the 4 times table, we know that 24 divided by 4 is 6. And what we need to do is multiply this answer by the numerator in the fraction. Now, in the last video, the numerator was always 1 because it was a unit fraction. Now, the numerator is going to vary. The numbers are going to be different, so we have to be very, very accurate with our multiplication. So the answer is 6, and we times it by the numerator, which is 3. 6 times 3 gives us 18. So the answer to what is 3/4 of 24, the answer is 18. We'll go through another example just to make sure you are confident with the method. If we want to find 4/5 of 15, then we divide 15 by the denominator, which is 5. And then knowing our 5 times table, we know that 15 divided by 5 is 3. And then we take our answer of 3, multiply it by the numerator, which is 4. And then 3 times 4 gives us 12. So the answer to what is 4/5 of 15, the answer is 12. Now, Wednesday's work went through lots of those types of questions with you to get that method really secure in your brains. And today, now we're going to go through and apply this method to some problems. So, the first problem is this one here. It says Sarah had 30 flowers and she gives 3/10 of the flowers to her mum, and then she gives 2/5 of the flowers to her auntie. How many flowers does she have left? You're being asked to find. So, the important vocabulary in this question, first of all, this fraction here, 3/10, we have to work with that. We also have to work with 2/5, and most importantly, we need to know how many she has got left at the end of the question. So, the first thing we need to do is to work out how many flowers does Sarah give to her mum if she gives away 3/10 of 30 flowers that she has to start with. So, if I want to find 3/10 of 30, what I need to do is divide my amount, which is 30, by the denominator, which is 10, and 30 divided by 10 gives us 3. And then I'm going to multiply my answer of 3. I'm going to multiply it by my numerator, which is 3, and that there gives us 9. Okay, so we know that Sarah gives 9 of her 30 flowers away to her mother. And what you can do, if you have got a diagram, is you can cross off 9 flowers just so we know we have gotten rid of them. Now, what I've done here is I've put the bit that we've worked out so far already onto our slide here. And I'm now going to look at the second part of the question, which is this 2/5 here. Because as well as giving 3/10 of the flowers, which is 9, as well as giving those away, Sarah also gives 2/5 of her flowers to her auntie. So we now need to use exactly the same method, just with the different fraction. So we need to find, don't do that at home, we now need to find 2/5 of 30, okay? And to do that, we divide 30 by our denominator, and 30 divided by 5 gives us 6. And then we take our answer 6 and we times it by 2 because that is our numerator, and 6 times 2 gives us 12. Okay, so we know that 2/5 of the flowers that were given away is 12 flowers. We know from our previous bit of working out that 9 flowers were given away, so you could go through and make sure you crossed off the right number of flowers just to make sure your working out is 100% accurate. So, what we have got here on this next slide then are the 2 parts of the calculation we have worked out so far. Most importantly to focus on now though is this bit here. Bring that question back there. You need to focus on this bit here. How many does she have left? Because we know what has been given away, 9 and the 12. If we add those 2 numbers together, like this, we will get the answer 21. Might just make that a little bit clearer for you. There we go. 9 plus 12 gives us 21. That is the amount of flowers that has been given away. If we want to work out how many flowers that Sarah has left, what we need to do is go back to our total, which is 30, take away the 21, which is the total of the 9 and the 12 that we know she gives away to her mum and her auntie. 30 take away 21 gives us 9. So we know that Sarah, at the end of it, has 9 flowers left. Okay? That is quite a long question with lots of different processes. If you need to re-watch any of the video again, then please do. And then there are some examples on our website of similar sort of questions for you to work your way through at home. Now then, there is one more example of a question that I would like to go through with you today, and that is this type of question here. It says, James and Maisie are calculating fractions of an amount, and out of 24 milkshakes, 2/3 are sold. And we need to know how many milkshakes are left after those 2/3 are sold. Now, James has worked it out and he says there are going to be 8 milkshakes left. And Maisie has worked it out and says, I think there will be 16 milkshakes left. Only one of those answers is correct, and we need to work out which one that is and also explain how we know which one is correct. So, the first thing need to do is just to pick out in the question which vocabulary is really important. We need to know that there are 24 milkshakes in total, and we need to know that 2/3 are sold. The first thing I would do is actually to work out 2/3 of 24. Before I move on to thinking about who's got the right answer, I need to know the answer to that question there. So, 2/3 is written like this, of 24. So I'm going to use the method that I know. I'm going to take my amount, I'm going to divide it by my denominator, which is 3. So 24 divided by 3. And I know my 3 times table. I know that 24 divided by 3 is 8. And I'm going to take my answer of 8 and multiply it by my numerator, which is 2. 8 times 2, I know that gives me 60. Now, this is the point where lots of people stop thinking. And they look at the answers there and they go, well, James says 8, Maisie says 16, I've got 16 there, so that must be the right answer. And they put 16 in the answer box. Those people have not read the question very carefully. So, the question actually says, how many are left? Now, what we have worked out so far is how many milkshakes have been sold. 16 milkshakes have been sold. To work out how many are left over, we need to do a subtraction. So we will need to take our total number, which is 24, and we need to take away the number that have been sold, which is 16. Now, you can calculate this mentally if you want to, or you can use a subtraction method written down like this. So 4 take away 6, I'm going to exchange for my tens column. 14 take away 6 is 8, 1 take away 1 is 0. So we can see there, this is how many are left, and we can now see which of our children has got the right answer. But the way that you explain how the person with the right answer is really important. Very clearly here says explain how you know which person is correct. So, what I have done underneath here is just put an example of how you could possibly explain the working out. So, Maisie has worked out how many have been sold, how many milkshakes have been sold, which is 16. James has worked out how many will be left, which is 8. So James has got the correct answer. Okay. Now once again, there's lots of complicated maths in there, so do re-watch parts of the video if any of it has been a bit confusing, and then have a go at practicing the questions on the worksheet. Use what you know, use these ideas, use this method, and hopefully you will have lots of success with your questions. Well, good luck with that year 3, and we'll be back soon with some more maths videos for you.